Well, he's dead. So, in general, you always have to be careful.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about this very interesting interview of Bill Gates over on PBS. Now, I've not seen the entire interview, but if I can find that, I'll link to it in the description box so you can see it in full for yourself. However, I have seen this one clip that's all over the internet, all over social media, is everywhere. And that's when they brought up Jeffrey Epstein. Yes, that Jeffrey Epstein with Lolita Express, with Epstein Island, the guy who got locked up already for trafficking children, who was rumored to be doing that after he was in jail. That's why he got sent back to jail. The guy went to the federal detention center and wound up, quote unquote, committing suicide while there was two guards who were supposed to be guarding him, who happened to be online shopping for 6 hours and failed to notice their whole dead prisoner in the cell by himself. But that's a different story, and I digress. But that same Epstein, and when I say Bill Gates got nervous, I'm talking about super nervous. I'm talking about trying to find the exit, not knowing where to go. Very nervous. Now, before I go any further, let's roll the clip. In this clip, you'll see the part of the interview where they bring up Epstein and the plane, the island, all that stuff. After we get done watching that, I'll come back. I'll talk about what he said there. Then I give you my 2 cents, my deep detail analysis, and then I wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
It was reported at that time that you had a number of meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, who, when you met him 10 years ago, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution from minors. What did you know about him when you were meeting with him, as you've said yourself, in the hopes of raising money?
I had dinners with him. I regret doing that. He had relationships with people he said, would give to global health, which is a interest I have. Not nearly enough philanthropy goes in that direction. Those meetings were a mistake. They didn't result in what he purported, and I cut them off. That goes back a long time ago now. So there's nothing new on that.
It was reported that you continue to meet with him over several years, and that, in other words, a number of meetings. What did you do when you found out about his background?
Well, I've said I regretted having those dinners, and there's absolutely nothing new on that.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead. So, in general, you always have to be careful. I'm very proud of what we've done in philanthropy, very proud of the work of the foundation. That's what I get up every day and focus on.
All right. So you saw that, you heard that. Now, that's pretty crazy. That's wild, but not really unexpected, because we've known about these guys, these big wigs, these billionaire guys, super elite, the elite of the elite. The guys that Epstein was hanging around, you're talking about heads of state. I think Prince Andrew over in UK, he got caught up in it. So to see Bill Gates right here, I'm not surprised. Some of y'all might be surprised, not you guys that are real smart, big brains, because you guys are brilliant, you know everything. But some people who may not really be in a political space like that, or really understanding the elites, they might not really get it. But the thing about Bill Gates is that you may see that the nerdiness and the glasses and computer programmer, you don't understand that Bill Gates was out there, living his life. What they said at Microsoft, they had parties with some young ladies there, not underage, but it was some adult entertainment going on. Put it to you like that at Microsoft. Some may not necessarily think about that when they see Bill Gates, but that's kind of the life he was living. So to meet with Epstein 5 years after, mind you, he had already been convicted of sex trafficking, is no surprise. Not at all. Not in the least bit. And the reason why I say convicted, and I want to emphasize that point, is that it wasn't a rumor that Epstein was involved in some nonsense. It wasn't, oh, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. He had already been convicted and served jail time. Well, kind of jail time. I think it was still able to travel and be at home. It was a weird sentence. I believe that was in Florida back in the day. But he had already been convicted of that. Bill Gates met with him 5 years after. Now, there's no way on God's green earth that Bill Gates doesn't know about Epstein's background. It's impossible. When you're in that kind of elite space, you know everything like that. You may not know some of the more secret details about an individual person, but you know that he had already been convicted. That's public record. You're going to know that. So the interviewer didn't really ask him about that. It didn't say, hey, why did you meet with him 5 years after he had already been convicted? They did bring it up, and that's a good thing, I suppose, but she didn't really get into the why, which is pretty important to me. Anyway, so the important part beyond meeting them after he had been convicted is the whole thing about the money. Okay, because that was one of the main things. And also meeting with him for dinner. I'll talk about that in a moment with the money. Bill Gates said, well, the things that Epstein promised, he never really materialized. Well, I'm sure there's people that would disagree with that. I think there was $2 million for MIT that was secured by way of Epstein through Bill Gates. If it's about dinner and stuff like that, then why were you on the plane? And where did you go when you were on the private plane? Did you go to the Epstein Island or did you go somewhere else? Where did you fly when you went on the plane? The infamous plane where everybody knows there were some unseemly activities happening on board, where some unseemly activities were in the process of happening, meaning transporting these girls, underage girls, to spots for inappropriate things, for criminal things. So Bill Gates, were you involved with that? If you met this guy 5 years after he had already been convicted, you know what kind of guy you're dealing with. You know about the plane. You're not in the dark about that. See, Bill Gates is not a normie. The average person who's just out there in the street may not know all of what he is privy to. He knows what's going on. So why did you do something like that? This could be a lot more than what it is. And it probably would be if Bill Gates were not Bill Gates. Okay, if he was kind of a lower level guy, somebody that didn't really matter in the greater scheme of things, oh yeah, it would have been a wrap. And look at what happened to Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew, is he still part of the royal family anymore? Did they pretty much like excommunicate him? He's actually blood member of the royal family that goes back like 1,000 years in Britain. So if they pretty much just axed him out and he has bloodline, he's like second or third or fourth in line, something like. If they axed him out, then how about Bill Gates? What's going to be the consequence that falls upon him? I'm not really sure. I think with Prince Andrew, they had somebody testifying against him, a young lady that said he did X, Y, and Z. I've not heard that about Bill Gates. And that's a good thing, I suppose. But then again, if you don't hear anything, is that for a particular reason? Because when you get to that level of success, you could pretty much do whatever you want and nobody's going to know. All right. This is why the criminal conviction didn't really matter for Bill Gates, anyone else that was still dealing with Epstein after he got locked up. Because it's like, look, man, we got this money to make. We're trying to get millions of dollars, billions of dollars. It's whatever. I don't care that you've been locked up. I don't care what you did. There's no morality, no religion. It's just all about cash. I'm not sure I want to live like that, but a lot of these guys do it. Once you get up there to the big wig level, that's kind of how it is, unfortunately. So, yeah, I think Bill Gates was nervous for a reason because I think, in my humble opinion, don't sue me, bro, but I think that he knows that he was doing wrong. He knows that it was not right to be with Epstein, and he may have gone to that island. If it comes back that Bill Gates went to the island, I won't be surprised. But as I close, I want to say this. A lot of these guys, your Bill Gates and Anthony Fauci, and I'm not trying to say Anthony Fauci was on the Epstein plane. Don't get that twisted. I'm talking about the elites, those that want to rule from an ivory tower in the sky and dictate to us, the peons on the ground level. These guys, the morality is not really there. It's all about just trying to serve whatever they view as the best way going forward. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I enjoy freedom. I don't like being ruled by oligarchs. I don't like being ruled by these unelected officials and these emperors and things of that nature. I think the USA was created for that purpose, to be free, and not to have these big money guys just have dominion over us and say, okay, we're going to put the vaccines out here. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And you got to just do whatever they say. And they can't be shielded from prosecution just because of who they are. Oh, you got $1 trillion, so you can't go to the penitentiary. That's just not right. And then when some things happen that shouldn't be happening to these guys, like Epstein, a dirtbag, probably should have got the chair for what he did, but that wasn't a sentence at that point. I think he was just in the detention facility. He had not been convicted yet. Give him due process. You can't just go in there, ice him, and then get away with it, because if they can do that with him, then it can happen to anyone, maybe even a regular normie. Oh, you knowing too much, you're doing too much, it's going to take you out. We do the same way we did Epstein, allegedly. So I want things to be the same across the board. I don't want any kind of special treatment, any kind of strange treatment, any kind of thing that's beyond the scope of what the average person is privy to as far as knowledge is concerned. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How you feel about Bill Gates in this interview? Super nervous. Was there a reason why he was nervous? Whatever your thoughts on that are, let me know in the comments below. You guys pretty much know where I'm at. I think these guys like Bill Gates and others, a lot of these big money people, may be involved in things like this, and they'd rather you just not know about it. So then when they get questioned, all of a sudden it's like, hey man, you done blew my cover. What am I going to do now? That's kind of the vibe I got from Bill Gates in that interview. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.